So welcome to AWS 3-City User Group Meetup. We are excited. So this event is number 6, and it's dedicated to recognition of work of women in cloud technology. So today's agenda is Women in the Cloud. Actually, let's start with a little bit overview. This special event is designed to amplify the recognition of women in tech industry, especially in such an evolving field like ours. So we need to recognize that the diversity of perspectives drives innovation. The diversity of perspectives leads to success. So that's about our event. Well, we need to say thank you to the main sponsor of our event, and that's EPAM System, the global leader in digital platform engineering and development solutions. We appreciate your support. Actually, we would also like to extend our appreciation to all of the communities that support us. First of all, that's EPAM Women Community, Cloud Crafters, and from Colombia, and also the Georgia Cloud Community. Thank you so much. Speaking about our main sponsor, EPAM Systems, we would also like to say that EPAM is not just about creating digital transformation and strategies. EPAM is about driving and leading them. So while driving this innovation, we are always on the lookout of good people, good engineers, talented engineers. And if you think that you have the skills, the ability, the talent, please explore the opportunities with EPAM. We will be really glad if you join us. So also I would like to thank you. We would like to say thank you to the support of AWS for JetBrains, and of course to the biggest conference at 3-City, InfoShare. By the way, InfoShare also provides the discount with our promo codes, and actually that's really important. So please explore such amazing opportunities. Thank you so much, thank you. Well, let me touch the agenda of today's event. So, two inspiring women prepared for you a really fantastic presentations. So explore the opportunity, share the experience. We are really inspired by you. Actually, we would also like to say that after the sessions, after the events, we'll have an amazing opportunity for networking, for pizzas. So also you will be able to get acquainted with awesome people, to know a little bit better about experience and expertise we provide to each other. So this event is about building community all together and recognize the work of women. Let me introduce our first speaker, please.
I hope it's working. Okay, perfect. It's working. Okay, let's see. So, just a quick disclaimer. Everything you will see today on the presentation is solely my opinion. It's not directly connected with opinions of the company I work for or AWS. And also, I would not like to advertise or disadvertise AWS in any way. So, did you guys know that AWS stands for Awful Web Services? I'm joking. Now, with a raise of your hands, who here thinks that AWS experience can be improved? Maybe you, okay, okay, that was fast. So yeah, I don't know, today I really wanted to have like an honest conversation about some things I dislike, but actually at the end I will also show like things that I love about AWS and what makes it so cool. In case you didn't know, AWS has about 1,024 different services to choose from and counting. I'm joking though, they actually have 200. And it's basically like building A to Z web services, you know. And of course, all of these services have their own acronyms and also their icons, you know? And some acronyms are numbers. Here we have specimen number 1, AWS service called Amazon Route 53. Others are named after planets. So we have Amazon Neptune, okay? And some just make no sense. We have AWS Elastic Beanstalk. And I mean, if it were up to me, I would have changed some of the names because I think they're just unnecessarily confusing, especially for people that are just getting started with AWS, you know? Let's look at EC2. Okay, with the raise of your hand, who has here used Linode or DigitalOcean? Okay, so what are EC2 instances called on Linode? They're called virtual private servers. So it's a little bit strange why they're called Elastic Compute Cloud. I would have changed it to virtual servers. Second one, we have Amazon S3, simple storage service. Not sure when S3 became simple. So actually I would have called it Amazon Limitless database, key value database, right? And the last one, which is Amazon S3 Glacier, I would have just called it really slow S3, right? And you know, like the services in AWS are so complex that you will want to get certified with a PhD before even attempting to launch Hello World in AWS. And you will need the PhD really handy to pass AWS certification. So we have a sample of a single AWS question from this person struggling on Reddit to answer something this long, you know? And yeah, don't worry, because I have 40 questions like this on the certificate exam. So yeah, it's quite something. I have like a strong feeling that there are a lot of questions on the exam where there's no really like a textbook answer, but they prepare you for actual reality. So the certification is there to prepare you for actual reality, which is like really important. Sometimes on the project you'll have to deal with really difficult things, you know. But sometimes you will never come across things from your certification preparation. So if you also didn't know, those 200 services that AWS offers are also like, let's call them beta products. They haven't been actually used in years, and they also haven't been updated in a lot of time. Let's see, does anyone recognize this icon? It's an AWS service. Okay, so no one recognizes this. This is called Amazon SimpleDB, which is a highly available NoSQL data store, which basically like offloads the work of database administration. And if you actually Google Amazon SimpleDB, you will come across like posts from 16 years ago, and back then it was like a really good thing. It was actually released in 2007 or 2008, and it is written in Erlang, which is a programming language. And it's fun because if you actually open AWS console, and you have the services in the tab where you can list all the AWS services, you will never find Amazon SimpleDB there, because this service was created a lot of time ago, and currently it exists only for legacy users that cannot leave Amazon SimpleDB, let's say it that way. Which reminds me of two further things that I dislike. Number one, so let's say you're a happy startup, and AWS starts you off with free credits, and you're booming, everyone is really happy. But then the pricing scales up exponentially, and you become more dependent on the cloud. And at certain point, the credits just expire, and you're really dependent on the cloud as well, and you're vendor locked, right? And this is not actually, like, things I'm talking about here are not specifically AWS, but they could be applied to other cloud providers as well. So yeah, you end up vendor locked. Congratulations. But this is actually your issue, because if you go to your settings on your username, you can always find billing and cost management, and there is a tab with free tier, and you can find, this is from my personal AWS account, things I'm currently using. I have to delete in 2 days because they will charge me. So except the vendor lock, I hate AWS documentation. So raise your hand if you struggled with AWS documentation as well. And if you even just type it, you see a lot of people that are struggling for years. I mean, this guy's struggling from 2015, you know. So yeah, you will find things that are actually difficult to find in the official documentation. And I don't know, if you didn't know, like, setting up MFA for AWS CLI can be harder than, like, harder than cutting a rock with a spoon. But actually it's not difficult at all. You can just do a really simple command. But another thing I dislike with Amazon, you have different types of CLIs. You have SAM, you have just the normal CLI. You have something else that I haven't used yet, but I hope I will use. And also, yeah, good luck setting up IAM, roles or policies. That's also really, really painful. So yeah, documentation is not the best part, but if you don't know something, you can always find the shady Chinese website. And actually, they're a lifesaver. I mean, they're in Chinese, but you can always use Google Translate. Sometimes I found some things in Portuguese as well. And they're not documented on the official AWS documentation, but you translate them and it's exactly what you need. But they're not available on the official documentation. Or if you, I don't know, cannot translate, or the translation is not working, we also have Amazon Web Services for Dummies that you can also read before going to bed, you know. Fun thing. And, you know, it's really strange. I sometimes feel like companies, not only AWS, but like other ones, are deliberately not updating their documentation. So you as a client have to hire someone from consulting to help you out, you know. So yeah, I don't like documentation, and I think it could be improved. And actually, at certain points, AWS open sourced their documentation. There were repositories on GitHub where you can find everything, and they kept updating it, and people were opening issues. But I think maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they abandoned it because it was too much to keep, and they decided to create content instead. Oops, sorry. Just to get back to my point about IAM roles and just policies, which are really difficult. This is how, like, normally you think authorization would work. And meanwhile, in AWS, you have to create a user, attach the policy, assign the policy to the user, then you have to create different types of roles, assume the role for your IAM user, authenticate the role, and yeah, a lot of difficult things. And when you're just beginning with cloud, actually, even to run a Lambda function, you have to create a policy and a specific user. And it can be really difficult to start with. And it's really funny because I understand that the permissions are not simple because they just cannot be. right? They exist for a reason. But it's funny because we still see things like this where we put wildcards and give everyone any type of permission, even though those, policies exist and they're there for a reason. And well, we sometimes do this and then we wonder why suddenly like information leaked from some unrelated application that got hacked. So don't do wildcards, please. I mean, who do you call when your application stops working and you're hacked? It's AWS, so of course you call Amazon Web Services. Oh, you opened tickets in your dev environment? Something broke in your dev environment? Well, we don't care. It has to be prod specific. So yeah, if it's prod specific, they will abandon you and they will not respond to the ticket. I'm joking, they will. But support is busy with something else. They're busy with the UI of AWS console. So regarding the UI, I bet you didn't know. This is a total shock. So every AWS service has its own UI team that creates the UI. So that's why you will see like one service is really different from the other one when you just click on it. I mean, most of them look really pretty. Like, I think most of them are really like beautiful and really well coded, but then some of them, they look like they came straight from Fiverr, So yeah, and I specifically dislike how the logs look in AWS. I think that could be really improved. Also exporting the logs, because you have to export them in a CSV file or you have to export them into an S3 bucket. I think it could be easier than that. And it also reminds me that in AWS, you cannot delete items in batches. So I was testing some application a lot of time ago, as you can see. And suddenly I got email that my free tier expired, so I had to delete everything. And actually, there were about 100 of these S3 buckets, and I could not delete them. I had to go to the UI and click one by one. And sometimes if the S3 also contains objects, you have to empty the bucket and then, delete. So yeah, I I kept pressing one by one to delete them. And don't forget to type permanently delete each time, which I spent about 3 hours typing on each S3 bucket. So that was also a disaster, And it's funny because I also opened an issue on GitHub some time ago about something I wanted to improve. It's from September 30, 2023, and no one responded me. I feel really sad. So it's difficult to fix some things, right? When there are other things to focus on. By the way, I graduated from university like a month ago, so congratulations to me. And AWS, yeah, thanks. AWS actually plays a big role in life of a student because they give out 300 AWS free credits if you have like a university email. And so I come from a university where we did not have a lot of hands-on experience. And AWS was like free, and if you were curious, you could use it. It's really cool. But we don't have a big red button, so once you create everything and you're a student, you probably don't have much money, right? But you cannot push the red button to delete everything. I mean, come on, at least do it for the students, So I sometimes woke up at night, I was like, oh, did I shut down the EC2 instance? I hope I did, right? I'm a little bit scared. And then I was advised to have like a second credit card that you could attach to the AWS account. So once the money was gone, it was gone for good. So yeah, AWS really likes to overcomplicate things. As an example, so never put Lambda inside of VPC because you will be guaranteed with a lot of fun. Has anyone here touched Lambda inside of VPC before? Okay, glad you didn't. So For the context, migrating Lambda from one VPC to another. And what happens is you basically change the security group of the Lambda function, and it creates new ENI, which is the Elastic Network Interface. And meanwhile, the previous ENIs that were created are still attached to the previous security group, so you cannot remove them in any way. I tried everything. I tried to like completely delete the Lambda. It did not help. I tried to delete the VPC. It did not help. So it was bugged from AWS side. Or I could have just probably fixed my security groups. That would have helped as well. I mean, there's a lot of things I dislike about AWS, you know. But these are actually just jokes because all of this can be applied to any cloud provider, as I said. And from my experience, AWS is the best one with what I've worked with. As an example, it is really popular for a reason, right? Amazon was the first to even invent the whole concept of cloud from the beginning. And you can see it like the market shares, AWS is always on the first spot. And this is also for a really good reason. As an example, my favorite thing, by the way, that I also have here, yeah, I have it right here. AWS offers something called AWS Well Architected, basically where you can check out all the best practices. It includes like domain-specific lenses. It also has hands-on labs for these like best practices. There's also something called AWS Well Architected tool that is free to use. So I think it's really cool. And they have different types of pillars inside this AWS Well Architected, and they're really well documented, surprisingly. Another thing, so I'm a really big Rust fan. You can also see the stickers on my laptop. For those that might not know it, Rust is a programming language. Also, can I see hands if you know about Rust? Okay, wow, yeah. So actually, AWS is my favorite because it's the first cloud to introduce SDK for Rust. And it's really important because I love using this programming language. And at certain point in life, I would want to use it on the project. And if the SDK is not supported, the management will probably tell you cannot use it, right? Because some like open source library that is not official might have some security issues. So AWS is the first one that introduced it. No other cloud has it yet, and it was in works for a long time too. And this really just shows you how they care about new trends, and they are evolving faster than other cloud providers. Another thing that I like, also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it changed from dislike to love. AWS is the cloud that works well with sustainability, and the pillar that they have for the sustainability, they have a really in-depth explanation of like sustainability in general and sustainability in the cloud and of the cloud, what they're doing as a cloud provider and what you as the client of cloud can do to be like more sustainable. It's a really important topic in today's life, you know. So it really stood out to me as a company that doesn't greenwash but actually like care about it, and they do something about it, and they're really transparent with their work in sustainability. So they educate people about things, not only about sustainability but other things as well. Which brings me to, even though AWS has poor documentation and strange exam questions, they have really good courses and workshops that they offer for free. And one of them, AWS Educate, which is actually totally free, especially for students starting out. It's something I would advise you to get a beginning with, or like a kickstart. So yeah, AWS is inclusive. Like they really care about people that come from a non-technical background, you know, and also students. And since I was a student not long ago, I'm super into this stuff right now. And we also have something called AWS Workshop Studio. Has anyone here tried it before? Okay. So it's really unique events and workshops that you can follow to basically try out services that you might never try out on your projects. And there are thousands, maybe hundreds, I want to say thousands of different workshops available, right? And I wanted to include, maybe it's an advertisement, I hope Anton is not looking, the Rolling Scope School. It's a QR code. They offer free workshops in partnership with EPAM and AWS. And the workshops really are cool, and we're also looking for people that would like to do the speaking for the workshops. So please contact Anton if you're interested in that. So yeah, just things like that. And lastly, I wanted to say that I'm involved in a lot of different communities. Let's say Rust, Google, you know, AWS, Go, I don't know, many different ones. And I've had really good experience with all of them, but specifically AWS to me was the one that stood out the most, because every time I had a question, I would just directly text an employee from AWS. I would find them randomly on LinkedIn, like the specific topic I was interested, and they would always respond and help me out and explain things that I didn't know, right? Except that we also have the user groups. So one of them is the 3City, and you can always contact them, any user group, and learn about something. If you want to request something, they're usually nice enough to do it as well. So yeah, there's also a Discord server, which is really active, and you can post really technical questions either on Reddit, but on Reddit people usually hate a lot, on Discord, where people are much nicer. So yeah, this was basically like a really short presentation about things I dislike, and I think they're relatable to people that use AWS as well, you know? And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to contact with me on LinkedIn or follow me on GitHub. I do some cool stuff on GitHub as well. And if you have any questions about things, more things I might dislike about AWS, you can come to me and I'll tell you about it. I'm joking. But seriously, if you have any questions, let me know. Just raise your hand. Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much,
Yep.
Irina. Actually, I wanted to say that I completely forgot about an important part for our event. Please don't hesitate to ask questions, to provide your point of view, to share your opinions, because we have a lot of presents for you today, and the most active participants will give presents. So the presents are gift from EPAM, AWS credits, and also promo codes for InfoShare. Promo codes for InfoShare, tickets for InfoShare, and promo codes from JetBrains. So please ask questions. Don't hesitate. Thank you so much. So maybe you have questions?
Okay.
Do you give any feedback to AWS? Maybe you will take any pull request or something like this?
I mean, you saw that issue that's open, and it's still open, you know? But yeah, I try to, for sure. You can also provide feedback sometimes on the console itself, you know? Or just contact the support, open a ticket. And actually, I was joking, but they're actually really responsive, and they usually respond within 24 hours. It was much faster than 24 hours. But of course, like, they care about the clients a lot. Currently, I have that one from September, and I'm still waiting for it to be solved. So, I'm joking. Any other questions? Okay.
Some question. Maybe question. I have some issues on the networking side, on region, on availability zone, and this issues is for 5 minutes, something about that, and I don't see any information about outage on AWS outage page. So you have the same feelings. The outage page don't recognize every issue on the AWS side, because from my perspective, they not report every issue.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people complain about this, but I personally haven't experienced it yet, so I cannot really relate. But yeah, I have heard a lot of people, or sometimes they don't acknowledge it straight away, but you will see it pop up like in a couple hours that the outage happened. But yeah, you're correct. This stuff happens.
Anyone more? Oh, okay.
Let me help you with it.
It's not a question, but maybe something which I dislike about AWS. It's local testing.
Can you repeat that again?
Testing the
Testing?
services locally.
Oh, locally, yeah, okay.
It's a big
Which one specifically?
pain point. For example, Lambda layers.
Uh-huh.
So you can use local stack, but it doesn't allow Lambda layers or RDS. So it's a pain point. And you think that after so many years of cloud development, they could have simplified local testing, but it's still the same old. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any problems in local testing.
Maybe with Lambda a little bit, but not with the layers. I didn't experience with the layers. Just like normal testing Lambda, but I don't come from like a developer background. That could be the case. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. If you're saying it's an issue, it probably is, you know. Anyone else have like anything they dislike and any issues they've had?
Yes, one moment, thank you.
So how do you make your cloud experience comfortable?
Yeah, basically, check out the workshops. They're really good. About the documentation, maybe something is not available there, but you can always get in touch with people, right? Especially the solution architects. You can for the sustainability, like I was really interested in this topic, and I went to LinkedIn and I randomly found some people that work at AWS. And I didn't ask like really sensitive questions, but more basic ones, and they were kind enough to like explain them to me. Except that, I think there's a lot of free resources available that are not specifically by AWS, but rather by people like us that are like struggling with AWS, you know? So I would really encourage you to check that out. I actually have some links on my phone and I can send them to you after my talk.
No need, I know.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions?
Let's say I was working on the project with S3 buckets, and my responsibility was to, let's say, just make some work with them. And first struggle with this work was filtering. So AWS hasn't any filters with S3, for example, like any naming. We have only naming, yeah, like names. But if you have 5,000 of buckets, and yeah, that's
a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought about that. That's a really good point.
I have these difficulties with accounts with more than 1,000 of buckets, and you know, it's like Sisyphean work.
But you can attach tags to them. Maybe tags would help out. Have you tried that?
Yeah, but I'm afraid that probably not directly in S3 service.
Yeah, correct. Not directly there.
And the second thing from the S3 service is maybe the name of block allow public access, yeah? Blow allow public access. So it's really strange, yeah? That's all from my side about S3 service.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Any other questions?
Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you, Irina. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
So let's have a break, and we'll get back.
Really? You liked it? It was funny. I hope it was awesome.
Hi everyone, we are getting back to our event and I'm glad to invite our next speaker, Daria and her amazing presentation on building AI assistant with Bedrock agent. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for introduction. And I'm audible? Yes, great. So let me start from a personal story. I have a husband and I love him. But I also have a bad habit. I'm trying to delegate all stupid and routine tasks to my husband, like paying bills, you know, like dealing with local administration, this kind of stuff. And my husband is a great person, but he has one drawback. He has very bad memory. And if I ask him to do something and he postpones it just like 5 minutes, guess what happened? He forgets. Yes. So this is something I struggle with. So I started to think whether I can have a smart assistant that can understand me well and that can accomplish some stupid or boring task instead of me. Sounds like a magic, right? But maybe I can use a generative AI for this task. Maybe it can solve it. Maybe it can help me with it. Okay, couple words about me. My name is Daria. I work as a data scientist at SLB, and I work with machine learning, with generative AI, large language models. I'm also a AWS community builder, and this is a QR code. If you, I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I will be happy to accept all requests. And moving forward. Some of you maybe already heard about Bedrock. Who heard about Bedrock? Yeah, great. Let me introduce or reintroduce Bedrock for you. Bedrock is a great place for generative AI. But here let's pause a little bit and think about what generative AI is. Generative AI, which is kind of hype right now. Yeah, many people use generative AI here and there. But basically, these are models. Models stand behind the generative AI. And models that can be very, I would say, creative in response to our prompts. And these models were trained on a large amount of data. And these models can sometimes they can impress us. So, and Amazon Bedrock is a great place to start and to work with generative AI. So it is a fully managed service which has a vast choice of high-performance foundational models. Foundational models is just large generative AI models. And you can access these models via a single API. You can experiment with them, you can evaluate them, or privately customize via fine-tuning or retrieval augmented generation, RAG. And there are a lot of models which are now currently state-of-the-art models that you can access them there. For example, Claude, or Llama 2, or Mistral, or Stable Diffusion, Titan. So yeah, this is available in a single place. Last year, Bedrock introduced agents. It was a great new feature, and I was really excited to hear about it because I already had some experience working with Hugging Face agents, and I understood that these agents can be really used as assistants, as smart assistants. And but let's first examine how agents work. How can they be smart assistant? Can they reason? Can they help us? Agents are using reasoning power of foundational models or large language models, and they are using a framework called React. React is just a combination of reasoning and action. So if you ask a model, acting as an agent to perform some task. Here's your request. You ask a model to perform some task, and here you have some instructions. Instructions act as a role. For example, you can specify for an agent so it can understand its role better, and it can act, for example, as an insurance assistant or I don't know, legacy documentation assistant. Yes, and given this role, given your request, agents develop something like reasoning, just to aiming to break your task step by step. So it thinks, first step, takes an action, observe what is happening, and then after the action there is something like output. It understands, it can reason about this output, and then it can take this output as a next input for the next, and so on and so forth. So it can really break down complex tasks into simple steps. For example, like I, as a human, I understood when Anton invited me here, I understood that I need, in order to come to Gdańsk, I need to drive to the nearest train station. Then I went by train. Then we meet with Anton. I came here. So it just like there were a chain of steps. Agents, they work very similar. They chain in steps, and they accomplish these steps. So it can understand these steps, and an agent can orchestrate these steps well. But it needs a tool, and a tool, like a toolbox, you will provide this tool, and I will show you how to do this, how to provide tools to an agent so it can reason it, and it can pick up the correct tool for different tasks. So given all this reasoning, breaking down, orchestration, picking up correct tool, agents can be used as a smart assistant, different use cases, different scenarios. This this picture was taken from the blog post, AWS News blog post, that introduced agents last year. And the example here, user asked send reminder to all policyholders with open claims and pending paperwork. So to understand this, agents should check which claims are open, what paperwork is pending, and understand how to send a reminder. And it was capable to do it. Yeah, and I really was excited with agents, and I decided to try these things on my own. And I came up with the idea that maybe they can assist me in dealing with my Telegram messengers, my chats. I have a lot of chats, and it can be really exhausting to scroll up all chats, reading all messages, just to understand what's going on. Yep, you can relate. So I built like a more personal project, on my personal account, thanks to AWS credits, which can pull up messages from the chat. It can understand, summarize them, and just do this stupid, boring work instead of me. And yeah, couple words about functionality. So I can specify a chat name, and it can pull messages from the indicated chat. Then it can summarize these messages, which is really handy. And it can answer the specific questions. Yeah, because there could be a lot of messages, and I can have very specific question when is hackathon deadline. I just need to know this and nothing more. And also it can translate. I tried to show it on the picture. Yeah, this language is something like Spanish. Yeah, and it can translate from different languages to English. I checked it worked well with Polish, with Portuguese, and basically it should support any language that is supported in Amazon Translate. Yeah, I'm not really good at drawing architectures, but this is an architecture for the project. So here you might be wondering why there is S3 bucket here. Yeah, okay, let's start from the agent itself. So user is interacted with an agent, and agent is like an orchestrator. It's like a brain power of the project. And S3 bucket is a place where Open API specification resides. So Open API specification is just a JSON file where you can put the description of your APIs. So if we think about tools as a toolbox, Open API specification is like a list what's inside your toolbox. I have hammer, I have screwdriver, and so on and so forth. But what about tools? Where are tools? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Where are tools for the agents? Okay, it's inside Lambda. Yeah, so Lambda contains all the code that agent will use. So agent will go to S3 and will check what's on the toolbox list, and then it will go to Lambda and will see what and will use this tool, will trigger these endpoints from Lambda. And currently, according to the functionality it has, yeah, it can pull up messages from Telegram chat. And for this, I'm using Amazon DynamoDB to store chat IDs and chat names. So I can specify a chat name, and it will translate it to chat ID. Then we have Amazon Bedrock Titan model there. This model will do this reasoning, summarization, or custom prompting. And also I have Amazon Translate, which will translate chats from non-English to English. And I also have Comprehend here, which is the reason I put it here, because Bedrock agent cannot understand on its own whether this chat in English or not in English. So it might be needed to understand what's the language of the chat before sending messages to Titan model, because Titan model can work with English only. It's current setup. All right. And step by step, just a small introduction how to build an agent. First, you need to create Telegram bot and obtain token to be able to access your chats. Then I use DynamoDB here. I thought that it might be handy to have bot ID connected to different chats. So chats is like a list of chats that I have, and they have like key value pairs of chat ID and chat name here. And by the way, Lambda is capable to, yeah, it could be customized, so I don't need to specify a specific chat name. So it can find the closest chat name, not the exact match, doing fuzzy search. And second step, you need to create a Lambda function. So just create the function itself, update some permissions, so Lambda can call translate, can refer to DynamoDB table, can call Titan model, and that Lambda can be called by a Bedrock agent. And also you need to, of course, give your code. This code is written in Python. And optionally, you can do some testing. And this Open API specification file, which is a toolbox list file, where you specify all APIs and given a list of APIs, so agent can understand what action it can perform, what should be input, what should be output, and what kind of responses they should wait for. And finally, with all this, you can assemble, you can configure, build your Bedrock agent. It can be done simply via console. So you need to provide these instructions, just a role model for an agent, your assistant. In this case, I provided something like, you're a smart chat assistant that can help me to summarize, understand my messages. So the reasoning model can better understand its role, its purpose, why it was built. Then you need to select the model and add action groups. So action groups just links your agent and your toolbox. So agent can understand where to go to have this toolbox, Lambda toolbox, and where to have this toolbox list open API schema. And also there is one interesting optional step. I didn't use it in my project, but it is very useful to add a knowledge base. The reason we might need to do it is because generative AI models, like foundational models, they were trained on a large data sets, but these data sets are kind of limited. They might not contain the actual knowledge. They might not contain your company-specific knowledge or domain-specific knowledge. So if you want to have to provide this knowledge to an agent, you need to create something like knowledge base, vectorized space, and agent can go there and retrieve the required information. Yeah, and you just then review and create, and your agent is ready. Okay. I was building this project like in my free time, and what I learned from this project that, if you ever interacted, I guess you interacted a lot with ChatGPT, instructions should be clear and precise, because any misleading instruction and it will screw it up completely. Yeah, also when I started to think about the idea of project, I wanted very much to have this project for WhatsApp and for Facebook Messenger or Meta Messenger, how it's called nowadays. Yeah, because there are many chats there, and I totally forget about them. Yeah, but the Messengers API are not very developers friendly, at least for individual users, not for business users. And I just gave up. And also, the last but not the least, read the documentation. It can be awful, but it can be helpful. I stuck on one moment when I set up my Lambda, I set up my Open API specification file, and I started to test my agent. And I already pulled my messages, but I wanted to, it just was my idea that it should be pulled like a dictionary or like JSON structure, and it should be like pulled as output and then passed like a JSON or dictionary structure to the next step, to, for example, summarizing. But it wasn't working. And the reason it wasn't working is because I didn't check the documentation, how it's processed under the hood. Yeah, and just my agent tried to call the API, and it was struggling with these curly brackets and quotes, and it was just failing a lot of steps. So yeah, I spent a little bit on it. I learned my lesson, but yes. Yeah, this project is a quick POC, but yes, and it has a lot of limitations. First of all, it pulls 24 hours updates from Telegram. So I wish it could query the all chat history, but I used for a quick setup, I use this API which like pulls messages as updates. Also, Bedrock agents themselves, they also have limitations. It's a new feature, so they can work with Anthropic cloud models only as a reasoning agent. Maybe it will be changed in the future. Cloud models are good, but if you want something else, you need to think about other solution. And they also work currently only in 2 regions, North Virginia and Oregon, and they can have text as only type of input, no videos, no pictures, no sounds. Sorry. So yes, and it can be extended to support more time frame for messages. I interacted with it in my console, AWS console, but it can be easily deployed and wrapped into a Telegram bot. Also, I didn't think a lot about security. Yeah, but if we want to industrialize this solution somehow, this question should be taken seriously, because the one security layer it has is a Telegram bot token, and yes, it should be maybe layered security. And also, I wanted to have more messengers, not just Telegram, and extend its support to other messengers like Slack. It would be handy. And while I was building it, I saw different interesting use cases and examples from community. For example, Banjo, who is a developer advocate at AWS, built very great Bedrock Agents Quick Start workshop. It is available. You can check it out. The idea of workshop was to power agent by knowledge of well-architected framework. Agent has this is a knowledge base. You remember I talked about knowledge base, and can answer questions based on the well-architected framework. So you can check it out and build the similar stuff by your own. Also, Martin provided 2 interesting blog posts, like one blog post in 2 parts on community.aws about Amazon Bedrock agent as a Jira agent. And for me to read these articles, like read these blog posts, because yeah, Jira is something used very heavily, and this agent, Jira-powered agent, can create tickets, can add some comments, and can understand what's going on. And one more interesting use case is agent as a Shopify customer care, which can help you to track your order, understand the status. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit similar, but also interesting. Yeah, I talked about what are different use cases for agents, but I also wanted to talk what are not use cases for agents. Yeah, their reasoning power is not needed. If you have very simple linear workloads where action should be performed in any case, for example, picture is uploaded and then something should be triggered and picture should be resized. So it's a way more simpler architecture, and it's Lambda based or like serverless based architecture. Agent is not needed here. Nothing to reason about, right? And if you want a multimodal input, not just text, pictures, sounds, custom agent is needed, at least for now. Agent can. And if you find this idea interesting, agents in general, there are also not AWS related agents, but I would say more like generative AI or machine learning powered agents by Hugging Face and by LangChain, and they can use these like transformer models or another big model. For example, with Hugging Face, you can ask to generate a caption for a picture, then ask to change picture by your custom prompt, then ask to, I don't know, translate the caption to Spanish, then to voice it, and you can really chain a lot of things like this. Okay, that leads me to conclusions. And Bedrock agents can do, and then they can do reasoning, picking up the correct tool, and that's why they can be used as a smart assistant. Smart assistants. Don't rely on your husbands and wives solely. And there are a couple of interesting use cases, and if you find your use case which is suitable for agents, I encourage you to go and try them. This is very interesting stuff. And this project I was talking about, I have it open, you can check it out. I tried to make README as comprehensive as I could. And also I have one more slide, which is last but not least. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the community life around AWS Special Edition. Yeah, I guess if you are here, you already know about AWS user groups, right? I can skip this. There is also AWS Community Builder program, which is about being a tech community. I guess it's more than 3,000 people around the globe currently. And what they do, I can maybe summarize it in 3 words. Learn, build, and grow. Oh, sorry, and share. 4 words, actually. Yeah, you can check it out. Also, if you're curious, you want to attend reInvent, the biggest AWS event for free. And this is All Builders Welcome Grant. And it's not only the grant, you will be part of grant recipients community, which is also great. Also a lot of mentoring programs, but they are happening, I would say, by batch, in batch format. But if you noticed any program actively recruiting, yeah, go, and I encourage you, go and apply. They are also great. Also, there is a restart for people that want to restart and breaking into tech. Also, cloud clubs for students. And if you are a woman and you are interested in getting cloud practitioner or solution architect associate certifications, you can also become a part of Cloud Up for Her program, which helps with certification. All right, and yes.
One. Okay. Thank you for your really good project, and really I need this. I need this for my conversation. I have a question about cost. What's about cost, for example, for your project?
Okay, so if you, it will depend on how heavily you will interact.
Okay, Bedrock is serverless. Yes, you pay only when you use.
Yes.
Okay.
When you use, and your payment will, I would say it will heavily depend on how much you're interacting with an agent, because for language models you are paying by tokens.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, maybe next question. Which models do you use except Anthropic? Can we use something else, and can share experience? For example, maybe you use several models and like one more than other, or maybe one model better work with text, other with something else.
So for currently, the reasoning, like brain of the agent, can be only the Anthropic Claude models, but they have different Claude version. They are, I would say they are good. Yeah. Unfortunately, there is no other models like Titan. I cannot do Titan model as a reasoning, as an agent reasoning powered model, but I can trigger, for example, Titan model to summarize. Titan model, they maybe perform a little bit, not, I wouldn't say worse, but it would depend on your use case and also parameters you specify. Yeah, on the temperature and so forth. So maybe, but it also affects cost. Yeah, I just thinking about. So maybe I would change the reasoning model, which is doing summarizing and custom prompt answering. I would also use Claude, maybe, especially when they announced Claude 3 recently. So, yeah.
Why you choose Titan?
Titan, it's a good question, because Titan is modeled by Amazon, and my credits that I have, yeah, only, yes, you know the Indian, yes.
A question for me. I most likely missed it, but what was the trigger to your Lambda?
Lambda was triggered by an agent. So if we go back. Yes. So agent can trigger Lambda. Lambda just contains a set of these APIs. An agent can, so for example, I ask agent, go and retrieve my messages and pull messages from data science chart and summarize them. So Bedrock agent will understand it with trigger Lambda endpoint, which is responsible for pulling messages. It will pull messages. Then it will observe that all is good. I have messages. It will take these messages as input and go to a second API endpoint and trigger summarization. So and this is like step by step. We have a question there.
Okay, maybe I have two questions, but we start
fine.
from the first. The first is Amazon DynamoDB, you full manual or you have a script to fill your Amazon DynamoDB?
Do you mean what was the way I filled DynamoDB? I filled it manually.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think about the feature and think about Telegram API, allow that, but I think it's able to just scan all your conversations, all your topics, and just every morning summarize what happened during the night. And I don't need to watch to every topic, and it's but it need to scan your chat ID and just summarize the name of this. So I think it will be behind Bedrock agent, just on the Bedrock Titan, or you think you need to run Lambda need to run Bedrock agent to fulfill and summarize new conversations?
So in that case, if I just need something on my daily basis, I wake up every morning and I just need to have summarization, I would get rid of the agent here, because it's something very repeatable and very linear. So I can just have a Lambda, which is calling Titan or other Bedrock model, pulling messages, just like doing the same job, but without my specific instructions. So this is also possible, but I wanted to try this, you know, like
so
intelligent.
Bedrock is the best when we have user who change their mind, not for sequential, repeatable jobs. If we have repeatable jobs, we need Bedrock agent or not?
If we have repeatable jobs and this is not, at least you can you can wrap the logic into some like simple decisions. Bedrock agent is not needed, yeah, because it is just linear. It's going straight forward.
Straight to Bedrock Titan.
Yeah, to Bedrock Titan or another Bedrock model, Anthropic, Clouds, or something else. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. It's quite interesting. I have a question regarding whether Lambda is the only logic entry point, or you can use like EC2 instance with the open endpoint with included logic API somewhere and API schema.
It's a good question because currently you need, when you build an agent, you will select a Lambda function here. So it is like, I don't, at least I didn't see an option to change Lambda into something else. Yeah, maybe it's for the moment, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask, do you also use some third-party applications along with AWS, or just you only work on AWS console and applications all the time in your project?
What do you mean? I need to I need to understand it better. Yes.
I mean, do you also use third-party applications also in your project?
No, I tried to build it on yeah, except of Telegram API, it doesn't have anything like third party.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So how do you ensure the data security that the questions which you have asked are not being used to train the model again? And like in for example, if you take a corporate environment where companies don't want their data to be used to train the model, the public model, so how that is ensured?
Yeah, the question of security is a great question, because I would assume that this type of using or not using your input, your data, it should be handled when you accept terms of a certain model. And honestly, I didn't check what was the exact, like, where there was an option for cloud models to opt out that your output will not be processed by a company. But yeah, in general, in general, it should be handled when you choose your models, when you in Bedrock console, when you, I would say, apply for the model. Yeah, when you request your model, but I need to double check this.
Sure. And another question was like, how was your agent triggered? Like, were you inputting from console?
Yeah, I was in. My input was from console, and you saw these screenshots from console. But it can be wrapped. It can be easily deployed and can be wrapped into a Telegram bot, for example, Telegram chat bot.
Another cool idea would be like to put an Alexa intent, and you can just talk to Alexa. And
yeah, it could be interesting. So I can, and I can just use, for example, Polly to voice it over. Yeah, so I shouldn't like read it, I can just hear it. Thank you.
I have only one question. For
yes.
What you use OpenAI schema? Use Bedrock communicate with API, or I don't understand for what Bedrock needs
this schema. Yeah, because it is reasoning why you are, when you ask your question, it is doing some kind of reasoning. Okay, I was asked to go somewhere and check chats, And first, it should decide into which category your request falls. And it will decide by this schema.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Not a question, just a comment. So you mentioned that it should be taken into consideration opting out of providing your data to learn models, but you still decided to allow bot to read your chats. How do you feel about this?
I don't feel bad, I would say. Yeah, but yeah, it's actually an interesting question, yeah, and it can lead us to interesting discussions of how our data is being processed like every day by Google and other services. Yeah, but it was just a POC.
Can I add something to that? I mean, our messages are already stored on the cloud, so they're like stored. I wouldn't care that they're used for a language model, you know? I mean, they're stored, they're already there. So you don't even know what might be like going on behind the scenes, even if they have like a little box for you to check in or check out from. But since they're like being stored there, you never know what's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah, but still it's worth at least.
Yeah, I get your point. But, you know.
That's quite an interesting conversation. That's true. Any other questions from the audience? Well, then let's move on to the pleasant part of our event, gifts. So now our speakers have to decide what questions they liked more, and we can proceed.
Oh, yes.
Please, count to.
So, would you like to go first?
I like our questions. I don't know.
But we have to decide. I know, that's hard decisions.
My memory is really short, and I'm trying to like remember what people asked me and who exactly asked me. So, like, give me a couple seconds.
Yes, sure. One question that was really enlightening, something that you liked and remembered, such a sparkle of the event.
Okay, I can. Okay, let's just reward everyone, and we will be free. I like the question about suggestion about Alexa.
I liked you recommending the filtering. It was really nice. So
Congratulations. Congrats.
please.
Congratulations.
Okay. Oh, more? Oh my God. Wow.
They have a lot of presents.
Okay, I'm thinking who was the one asking me questions, you know.
Maybe this gentleman for the first row.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Would you like to go?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Thank you.
So AWS credits, one more presents.
Okay, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
One more AWS credits.
One more. Okay, I also liked the first row questions. Boris, could you please? Okay,
Congratulations. So now we are going to present an amazing gift, tickets for InfoShare conferences. Yeah, and JetBrains promo codes. That's right. So 3 persons, 3 credits.
Today we are here for women in tech, so I would like to pick a girl. I don't know. You're standing out to me the most with the blue badge, so could you please come?
Congratulations.
Okay,
Your turn.
Yeah, my turn. Also, I wanted, also very interesting, a couple of questions of, I don't know, yes. Yes,
Come to
you're
us.
invited.
Congratulations.
Your turn.
And one more.
My turn again. Okay. Okay. And what's this is?
That's also tickets for InfoShare conference, the biggest conference in 3City.
Okay.
And of course, JetBrains promo code. That's right.
And JetBrains promo code. Okay, let's pick up maybe one more girl, one more woman. Please, could you please go with the red hair? Yes, it just.
Congratulations. And the last present, EPAM mystery box.
Okay.
Something special.
Oh my god.
Oh.
It can be additional gift, or you can choose someone.
It's not look like a box.
Okay, Irine, could you please help me? Yes, please.
I would like to pick the boy that's sitting there. Yeah, you.
Congratulations. Well, colleagues, thank you so much for attending our event. So now I guess the formal part of the event can be over. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, photo zone. Yeah, of course. We are welcoming you to our photo zone.